Hey, so hopping in after the recording real quick, there was some technical difficulties. The macOS screen capture stopped working again. This happened a little while ago, so I didn't realize that my storage filled up quicker than I thought. And in the process of me freeing up the storage, I stopped the recording so I wouldn't waste more of it, and it happened again. If you've seen my My Hero Academia final season reactions, you probably can see where this is going. I lost the reaction. It got deleted and I deleted the trash to fill up space, and it looks like that was one of the videos. I could have sworn I did it in the right order because I was trying to watch out for that, but I think in my frustration I ended up deleting it again. So this video will just be the episode breakdown, which thankfully is untouched because I recorded afterwards. So I'm sorry about that. I hope you weren't looking forward to this reaction too much. And yeah, enjoy my thoughts. Okay, it looks like my capture froze again. I'll have to edit that in afterwards. Regardless, that was episode 14, Fluctuations, part 1, I guess. What an episode. What a way to end it off. I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit because I'm looking back I'm thinking back and I don't think I ever actually vocalized it as I wanted to. I've been meaning to bring up the fact that FUSHIDIO being here basically makes it an inevitability that he's going to encounter our Fushiguro, our Megumi. By the laws of shonen storytelling, it's all but inevitable. And sure enough, right as they're about to go in, with this definitely not glitching out player, FUSHIDIO himself just having a blast. Oh, of course it wouldn't be that easy, right? Of course it wouldn't be that easy. Anyway, regardless though, let's get back to the rest of the episode. It's a pretty straightforward episode, a bit of a transition episode as we get deeper into some of these fights and start building them out. Really just a fights against special grade cursed spirits though, and once again it reminds us that it's really unfair just having the one classification for cursed for special grade. It really isn't a grade so much, but as it is a marker that you are greater than first grade. Beyond that, it's just we don't even know anymore, because obviously smallpox deity is no laughing matter, but this smallpox deity versus our nature spirits, our disaster curses, we are not the same, right? Not even close. Will you die for me? Finally, I've been waiting for you to ask me that. But it's like their code word, so I don't think Uyui's going anywhere. I could see him dying against Geto, but and then we get into the main portion of the episode. We finally get whose name is apparently Dagon, which I don't really know the deep lore of it, but I know it's an East Asian sort of entity, if you would. I don't think it's like a demon per se, but it's not unlike, not the Loch Ness monster, but it's a sea creature basically. It's a fiend. It's not a deity per se, but it's quite a figure. So that being his name, whether it's like I am the representation of him or being him, or he is basically the representation of sea, so that's the name I've gone with. Whatever is the case, it's quite a reveal. And we also finally get to see what the old Zhang man can do. And he starts talking about animation. There's a modern tendency to raise resolutions and frame rates. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get back to the episode in a second, but now that he's talking about this, I've got to bring it up. I'm not the only one who finds the 60 FPS alteration of openings on YouTube frustrating, right? Am I? It's the stupidest thing. It always looks unnatural. It throws off the flow of the opening, and it just doesn't look good. Like, it looks smooth because it's 60 FPS, not instead of the 30 that we're used to. But it just doesn't look good because it wasn't designed to be like that. It's artificially done, and it just feels off. and I hate it. I don't know why it's such a big thing that people like doing. So yeah, upscaling to 4K 60 FPS. This is Akutami, I see you. He felt the need to then. There's no question. And this character is the perfect way to do it, I guess. And they don't cause any trouble when done for personal use, so that's fine. He's just like rambling. Modern TVs have their frame rate set up to on by default. So now I have to watch things at the stupid 60 FPS. It's not right. Watch in favor. Nobody asked for this. Why are you doing this? And he's just like, we have knit. You are not. Why does that matter? And it really doesn't. It's more of a distraction than anything, but clearly something he's passionate about, and I think that's fair. The idea of giving somebody, like forcing this onto somebody because it's better, like objectively better, is ridiculous. I mean, it's not like forced upon people, but it's the question of whether excuse me. It's the question of whether developments in like technology and in like visual storytelling with the raise to 60 FPS, whether the backlash against that is more sentimental than anything, or if it's actually touching on something that is better, right? At what point does technology reach the point where the old people lashing out against it are actually right? Today it's AI, right? But a generation ago, it was the internet or like handheld devices. A generation before that, it was the internet. A generation before that, it's freaking TV. I guess that's a few more generations back, but it was computers maybe. There's always something that's on the up and up that people are railing against. It's like, oh, this is the point where I'll go too far. And I don't think that they're necessarily wrong. However, I think history has shown that it's rarely as alarmist as we believe it to be. I think it makes sense that we believe it to be alarmist and that we feel the need to raise alarm because it's just generally a good survival instinct tactic to bring attention to things that are unnatural, that are new, that are scary, potentially dangerous. I think not doing that would show a lack of survival instinct, both not necessarily for yourself, but like for your species, right? Not to touch on a touchy subject, but if you're watching my free run reactions, welcoming in the demons, right? Because you want empathy. It's a fool's errand to welcome them in because you want to believe things will be all right. In the same way, if 10 years from now AI does destroy the world and like we turn into a Fallout world, historians are going to look back and go, look how foolish they were not raising enough alarm bells. I'm not saying AI is going to destroy the world. I believe that if we can get past the growing pains and actually reach a true AI, it will be too intelligent to want to do something as trite and useless as eliminating humanity. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But the point is that there's this kind of tug and pull between what history has told us, that the alarmism is rarely ever warranted, and if anything, just holds back technological and societal advances, and the common sense argument that you can't apply that forever, right? If you stand a mile away from a cliff and you take a single step towards the cliff, and all of a sudden your friends drive up behind you, your parents come out and they start screaming at you, step away from the cliff. I'm a mile away from the cliff. What are you talking about? To be a little less ridiculous, let's say you're a yard away from the cliff, right? You take a step towards it. Step away from it. You're dangerous. No, I'm fine. I can see where the edge is. You take another step. Hey, you're really getting close to it. Okay, I'm not there yet. And then you just start inching closer and closer and closer. And let's say you're blindfolded, so you don't know where the cliff edge is. Even if you've got hundreds or thousands of steps before you reach it, so maybe the mile is the better analogy. Does that make them a fool for raising the alarm bells? What about the step that gets you off the cliff? The fact that people historically have overreacted to potentially dangerous technology does not dilute the danger of technology. It just means that either we avoided it due to the way we handled it, or that we had not reached the point where the technology would actually become as dangerous as we thought it was. Which is why I think that push and pull is healthy. I think it's good. I think it's safe. I think there should always be immense backlash and cynicism, let's say, around technology, around groundbreaking new developments. Because without it, we're just barreling towards our own destruction without really looking back. And while that's good, like, we could potentially progress a lot faster. Progress, you know me, you know how I feel about that word. I'm a historian, so I hate that word. But for the sake of argument, we could progress a lot faster if there was a lot less of that push against, like, oh, this will be the one that sends us over the edge. But that inertia will also propel us over the edge before we know it. So yeah, it seems ridiculous. It always seems ridiculous watching the old people talk about, oh, because these days, all technology these days, all the way people are living their lives. And they're not wrong for doing so. And I think we sell ourselves short, and we don't give them enough credit by just dismissing them. But at the same time, I think they are lacking the historical perspective that their grandparents did the same thing to them. So it's with that mindfulness and with that social and historical awareness that I think we can proceed carefully. And if all goes well, maybe we won't even get off the cliff at all. Maybe we will internalize the fact that we are getting awfully close to a cliff, and instead of walking straight, we'll change course and we'll start walking alongside it. That way we can continue to advance, technology can continue to grow better, people's lives can get easier, and we can also subvert the disaster that is inevitably coming, really, with the inherent greed of humanity and of society, really. And I think mindfulness and, like, being careful as you move your way, as you make your way as a society into the future, is the best way to do that. Anyways, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That's my big spiel for the day. There's really not too much in the actual episode I wanted to talk about. Like last episode, was a really good action episode. It's entirely different, obviously. It's very it's not dynamic in the way the two people are, like, interacting with each other, but it's got a lot more moving pieces and a lot more characters we don't know. So it's a lot more like back and forth and, like, up and down to the right and halfway turned around, 360-degree turn, and new characters appearing. But it's not quite the seesaw of the last episode. Really interesting, though. I really did enjoy it. It's our big introduction to this guy. And where's the line that he says it? I think I really like the way that this guy fights. I think the way that all of these curse users fight is pretty fitting. It's very fitting for their characters. Okay, here we are. It took me a minute to find this line. I really like the way that the disaster curses really represent their, I suppose, their element, if you would. Not literally element, not like fire, grass, water, but like their origin, essentially, and the way they fight. Hanami is obviously like nature, right? Mother Earth. So she uses the grass, she uses vines, trees, she uses nature. And she uses them as kind of extensions of her own body, because Mother Earth, everything that grows on it is like hair, right? The hair of Mother Earth. They're all tendrils, they're all extensions of Hanami's body. Jogo, on the other hand, is, I guess he's also Mother Earth. He's like Father Earth. He's like the volcanoes. He's the molten underbelly of Earth, if you would, the dangers of the planet itself, of the very Earth, earthquakes, obviously eruptions. So he's very he's very quick, but he uses large explosive attacks, right? He's very flashy because the disasters and like the fear of the earth underneath us that's constantly shifting is a very large, like overpowering threat, right? And now we finally get a Dagon here, and his ability is, well, his element is the sea, is the fear of the sea, which personally I think is the greatest fear of all three of them. I'm surprised. I mean, he's clearly very strong, but I'm surprised he's not like overwhelmingly stronger than the others. I would consider the fear of the sea to be significantly more than that of like the forests or of volcanoes, that kind of stuff. But the sea is the origin of life, right? If you know anything about like geology or Earth or the early history of Earth, everything comes from the sea. And the first thing we look for when we're looking for life on other planets is water, right? We look for life on Earth by looking for mainly ice, frozen water, because water is the birthplace of everything. It is the source of life. It is the origin of living things. Every land animal came from the sea initially. And the sea has always had this kind of, not impermanence, but this ever-present ubiquity in human history. It is the most important, I suppose, terrain when it comes to commerce, right? Trading, being a port town is a boon like nothing else. It's why the UK, Britain, was so powerful for so much of history, because it's an island, it's surrounded by water, so it had the ability and the necessity to build a naval dominance. Same thing with China, India, right? They're all very much bordered by a lot of ocean, so they have that power, they have that naval force. Whether it's military or whether it's commerce and trading, the sea is, ubiquitous is the best word for it in human history. It is so important. So there are so many different like layers coming together and making the sea just this massive, this presence in humanity's mind. I'm surprised he's not stronger, but the way it relates to his power is it's the origin of life. So of course he's going to use shikigami, right? He's going to use different like fish and like sea creatures. He doesn't use tendrils. Nature is like tendrils as extensions to his own body. He doesn't use big flashy explosions or massive attacks. He sends out familiars. The ocean sends out its children, its offspring into the world. So the way that each of these disaster curses, and obviously we've got Mahito, who shifts his body, right, and alters the bodies of others. He's human. Humans are most known for obviously affecting nature, right, of creating tools, of transforming their environment to a degree that is incomparable to, say, a beaver building a dam or a crow using a stick as a tool. This is entirely different. We truly transform the environment. So his ability to transform makes sense. All these disaster curses are so well realized and thought out for their powers. It's truly brilliant. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, JJK is a battle anime, so I guess if it has to do one thing right, it's got to be that, right? It's got to be getting its, not just its action right, but its characters and how they fight right, because that is so important. And it's not something a lot of people give too much thought to, but it's something that pays dividends when you're actually experiencing it. We saw with last episode with how technical and how dynamic the fight between Yuji and Choso was. And yeah, we're seeing it here with all these different characters interacting and with how the disaster curses have been built out. So it's really good, and I'm really excited for more. If you are excited for more as well, again, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Liking also, again, it helps me out, helps the algorithm, and most importantly, though, than anything, please do leave a comment. Whether there's something in the episode that I didn't talk about much or that I kind of passed over you want to bring to my attention, or something I said that you agree or disagree with, or just something you want to build off of. Is there context around the episode that you'd like to tell me. Maybe you want to tell me about Dagon or about the namesake of his domain expansion. I'd love to see you in the comments and discuss with you. It's an absolute joy for me to do that. But whether you do that or not, wherever I see you next, have a lovely rest of your day.